Hey guys, Bully here. I'm going to do a pretty quick rundown on the 4.10 80 item changes, as well as the couple other item changes as well that don't pertain to 80s. But I'm on the PBE client, as you can see, patch 4.10, and I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. Start with Dorn's Blade. Alright, so what they did was they took 10 HP off of it and 1 attack damage. So it now has 70 health, 7 attack damage. They took away the passive of on hit life you gain back and brought it back to the they gave it lifesteal like it had in season 2. And it's not a unique passive, so they stack. So stacking 2 of these would be better than the Vamp Scepter. Just because it gives more combat stats, it gives health, gives a little bit more attack damage, and you get like 2% less lifesteal because the Vamp Scepter now has 8%, and so these would give 6. So I mean, even if you really wanted that lifesteal back, you could supplement some attack speed, or not attack speed, lifesteal runes, if you really wanted to. But I feel like 2 Doran's Blades into IE is probably going to be the best build now from what I've been testing, or double Doran's into the Trinity Forest. And I think those will be the 2 strongest builds, and I'll get into that later when I go over the BT. Alright, let's get into the Vamp Scepter now. Now it's the same cost, but it's 10 attack damage still, but it only gives 8% lifesteal, which is down from 10. So that's why I said Doran's Blades will probably be the way to go now, because it's more cost effective. Like 2 Doran's Blades is 880, so you're paying 80 gold for 4 more attack damage and 140 health. So it's pretty worth it to do that over this. And the reason why it's better to go like double Dorans now as well is because they nerfed the Bloodthirster pretty hard. In terms of like a raw damage item, it got nerfed hard. It's 80 AD, which is still a decent amount. 50% lifesteal, which is nice. But they removed the stacking passive, so those stats stay the same. They don't change now. So you just have flat 80, flat 15. But your lifesteal now, which is at full health, basically if you're auto attacking at full health, you start to gain and build up a shield with your autos, and it's determined by your champion level. So it goes from 50 at level 1 to 440. So at the normal timing, if you're rushing a Bloodthirster, is around when you're level 6 or 7. And at that level, the shield's like 100, a little bit more, a little less, somewhere in there. And it's not worth it to rush now, considering the Infinity Edge has the same amount of attack damage, and you don't necessarily need the lifesteal right now. And there's a support item for healers and shielders, which is also going to help this transition of a little bit less lifesteal for ADs. Now I'll get into that at the very end. But for now, it's just the Bloodthirster just does not seem like a good item to rush. For even people who have, like, you rushed it before because they gave you 100 AD, they gave you lifesteal, so people with like high AD ratios really benefit from it. But now that it's the same damage as the Infinity Edge here, there's not really a reason to. With you just get the double Dorans into Infinity Edge, and it just seems like a much better build path. I've been testing it. It seems like a much stronger damage spike. The only issue is like when you're rushing early crit like this, it can be really annoying for the laning phase, because you should be hitting this item around level 8 or 9. So I mean, you're still in the laning phase. I mean, even if you get it later, you're still in the laning phase. So it's just like your RNG is in the laning phase now, as opposed to like outplaying, and that could be kind of annoying. But I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. And oh yeah, the boots here. They are buffing the dagger, I believe. Yeah, it gives 15% attack speed now. It's 50 more gold. So the cost of Berserk Greaves went up to 1,000, which intrigues me, because on their patch notes it said it went from 975 to 1,000, but Berserker Greaves are 900 to begin with. So I think their math got a little bit messed up here, but I think 1,000 gold for these is much more in line though, because you can definitely feel the attack speed boost on them. And since the dagger is a new cost, new attack speed, it also changed up the zeal a little bit. The zeal actually got cheaper. So you have the extra attack speed, the crit, and everything on this. So it makes me wonder if people are going to delay Berserker Greaves. You know, I mean, if you're far enough ahead, I probably would just delay the Berserker Greaves and go straight into zeal since it's cheaper now. It's only 100 more than the boots. And you also get crit and more attack speed than the boots give. So this is probably going to be better to rush if you're ahead in the lane, I would just assume. And especially with an IE, it can be kind of snowbally, so I'm interested in what they say about that, because the fact that they tried to remove snowballing from the game, kind of like make it much more skill based other than like item based, etc. So we'll see how that goes, and then we'll get into the new AD item. I keep wanting to type up there in the summoner names, but that's okay. The Essence Reaver, which they have this pretty new picture for today, which is kind of nice. Gives 50 attack damage, 10% lifesteal, 10% cooldown reduction. The passive, you gain 2% to 8% of the mana dealt by basic attacks as mana. So basically you're getting on-hit mana back depending on how full or how low you are on mana. So like the lower you are on mana, obviously the more you're going to gain back, the more the passive is going to be worth. But the fact that it's 50 attack damage, just, I don't know, like it doesn't seem like it could be used in any build. Like it doesn't give enough, if anything really, and like the passive is kind of like, like all the ADs that have mana problems, you already build Trinity Force on anyway, and like it's not necessarily because of that. It's just how it works out. It's like a balance thing, I believe. So, I mean, yeah, you have to the cooldown reduction. You have to kind of value that in, because on like Corki and Ezreal, like the only two people I could really see building this, like cooldown reduction is a pretty big stat. But like I said, it's just, I don't think it's good enough of an item. Like maybe if the attack damage was like 60 instead of 50, it might be worth it. But I just don't see this being worth it to pick up on any champion in any build except one, and that would be blue build Ezreal. Because like you get this into tier, or tier into this, whichever one you prefer, and like it's excellent because like it allows you to charge up your tier while spamming, and it really helps build up the tier. It gives you early damage, gives you early lifesteal, and it gives you the 10% cooldown reduction you need to get max build. You'll be at 40. So like that's the only really build I see this fitting into. So I'm really interested to see how that works out. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's it for the 80 items, so let's get into this. So with all the lifesteal going down and stuff, oh actually, no, there's one more change to QSS. Alright, to Mercurial. Alright, so it gives 80 AD and 45 magic resist, and it gives you the active that removes all debuff still, but even if you don't cleanse something, like if you just use the item, you get a 50% bonus movement speed for 1 second. And it's a 90-second cooldown. So, for 3,800 gold, it's an excellent, excellent item in late game. Keeps you safe, gives you even more movement speed, and which is nice, especially since they're nerfing heal, which, let's face it, needed to be nerfed. They're nerfing the movement speed bonus on it, I believe. So, like, with that going down, there's this, which would help with that again. You know, it's just really nice. But a lot of people now, you know, will build the Banshees just because it's all around good. It gives you HP, which gives you more effective health. Well, with lifesteal and other things, it gives you more effective health than this because it doesn't give any health, etc. But you know, it does amp up your lifesteal because it's percent. But you know, it's just a good item. And honestly, like, this would probably be better than BT. Like early game, to be honest. Like, I mean, I don't see why you would rush this, but yeah, I really just think it's better than BT. You get more value out of it. But yeah, so that's a pretty interesting change. I think people who build Trinity Force really benefit from this a lot since they already have health in their build. This will just make them really annoying, especially a Kog'Maw with the I think it make this all these buffs make Kog'Maw stronger too, because you can go double Dorans into Trinity Force, which is really, really strong on Kog'Maw. If you haven't tried that, try it. And then go, what's it called? Blade of the Rune King, which also got changed slightly. Balde, yeah. I did it again. Let's do that then. Alright, it's 3,200. The, what's it called? The active nuke damage, so the amount of damage the active does to people, like when you press it, got lowered to 10% of the target's maximum health as physical. And then the movement speed buff you get from using it itself got nerfed by 5%, I believe it was. But the deals 10% of the target's champion's maximum health, that's a buff from I think it was 8%. So it's technically an auto attacking damage buff, like if you're auto attacking a lot. So that would be I think it'll overall be a buff if the team fight lasts a little bit longer than they normally do. Pretty sure that's a buff. Alright, and then since lifesteal kind of got nerfed as a whole, I think this was kind of an answer. I don't know. This item seems extremely overpowered right now, but it's Ardent Sensor. It builds out of the Forbidden Idol and the Aether Wisp. So it gives you 30 AP. This is an item for supports, by the way. I'm not sure if it'll be abusable by anyone else that's not support. Maybe by Nidalee top, since she's getting reworked to be more like a fighter top. I believe this might be good, but I haven't tested anything out. But it gives 30 AP, 10 mana regen per 5, and 10% cooldown reduction. So it gives fairly good stats, especially for a support role. You gain 8% movement speed, which comes from the Aether Wisp. And your heals and shields on other units grant them 25% attack speed for 6 seconds. Like, that is something. Like, 25% a decent amount. Like, that's more, oh, yeah, it's a little bit more than Berserker Greaves. I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't want to eat. Oh, okay, so it gives you the same amount of attack speed as Berserker Greaves, which is insane. So the active alone is already worth 900 gold for 6 seconds. Or, I guess 1,000 gold now for 6 seconds. So, I mean, that's pretty huge. And, like, champions like Serac who have an AoE heal gives an AoE attack speed buff to your entire team for 6 seconds. Like, that's huge. Karma with her shield. She can shield everyone with the Mantra E, I think it is. So that's huge as well. And just like Janna, her shield, since it already gives AD, and now it could give attack speed. Like, that's just, it's huge. And they said they made this item to kind of balance out people rushing Mikhails, because it brought, I mean, it literally killed champions. Mikhails did. The active on it and it being so cheap just killed things. So they upped the cost of Mikhails and they brought this out, which is, let's face it, it's broken. Like, I know a lot of people say that, but I mean, 25% attack speed is nutso. And like, it doesn't, yeah, it says does not include regenerative effects or effects on yourself. So like, it doesn't work on yourself, but like, 25% attack speed to your whole team, or like buffing a specific player with no internal cooldown, it's insane. Like, it's unreal. And I think they did that on purpose. I think they made it broken on purpose to shift people away from getting the Mikhails on, like, just in general. And it also buffed a lot of the supports that aren't being played right now, such as Sona and all kind of Soraka and Janna especially, because she has her ult, which is also an AoE heal. So, I mean, this item is going to be broken. They're already talking about putting stipulations on it doesn't work on AoE effects, which I think is definitely needed. But even if that happens, it'll still be good on Sona and Janna. Like, I think especially Janna, because like I mentioned before, has the AD as well as this passive giving attack speed. So we'll see how all this works out exactly. But like I said, I think the best option is going to be just 2 Doran's blades, and then an Infinity Edge in here, and then a Zeal into either PD or Shiv would be great, just because the IE scales so well with crit and attack speed, because the more attacks you get off, the more you're going to crit. The more crit chance you have, obviously, the more you're going to crit. And then this is where it kind of gets weird in the current meta, because we've been playing so long, like 2 years now, with like lifesteal. We always have like a decent amount of lifesteal and carries. So these 2 spots are really going to be interchangeable, because it could really be snowbally for an 80 carry, depending on which one of these he gets. Like if they don't have a bunch of armor, that BT right there is going to be huge, because right about you get this 3rd item, you're anywhere from like level, I would want to say like 12 to 17-ish. I mean, it really depends on what division you play in and stuff like that too. But like getting that around that level where the shield's starting to get big is just going to be really snowbally, because you're going to be impossible to kill. You're going to have a decent amount of lifesteal at that point. You're going to be a critting machine. So there's that. Like, and then there's, if they have armor, you're going to be forced to get into this last whisper, which isn't a bad thing, especially since you have all this crit. You'll be doing a lot of damage to tanks. You're just going to have to position better without the large amount of lifesteal. So you might even want to get a Vamp Scepter like after the IE or after the attack speed. Something that just helps supplement. But who knows? People might even shift back to using lifesteal quintessences or whatever. So we got to see on all that. And then I really think Scimitar is going to be the item. It seems really good. I mean, I only get Banshees if they have like several things you need to stop. That's the only option I can see there, especially since what's it called, Crucible's getting kind of pooped on, and other items in that same category getting buffed. So like you're going to see it less. So this is going to become more popular naturally, and then they buffed it on top of that. They're kind of like guiding you into buying it. So I really think that's going to happen. And then I think the other option is for people who build Trinity Force naturally, instead of rushing a BT, since it's, I would say in my opinion, but like it's not even my opinion. It's just bad. So like that and a Trinity Force is going to be huge, and then an IE to follow this up. That's going to be your core mid game going into late. Oh, mid game, but it's going to be that. And like I said, this is where it's going to get kind of weird, is like which one of these you're going to value next. So, like I said before, the BT is still extremely snowballing, especially with Trinity Force, since you have the Sheen proc with the extra damage. So, and if they don't have a lot of armor, you're going to want to value the Bloodthirster. If they have a lot of armor, you're going to have to go into this. And then, like I said, the supports are going to shift for that item over to healing, so it's not that big of a deal. This is probably what I would build on Corki, maybe Ezreal, depending. You might build a blade on Ezreal, in which you probably wouldn't get these. No, I guess you probably would. You'd still get those and that, and then blade here. And then a more specific one, because I like the champion, is Kog'Maw. So you have 2 options with him. If you want to go the Trinity Force build, which is one I prefer, because the Trinity Force with the attack speed is the movement speed on hit is extremely nice. So that into a blade is very strong, especially since it synergizes with Kog'Maw's W doing the % health already. So this is extremely strong. And that way you also have lifesteal mid-game, which is really nice. And I think it's just a really good option, especially since Kog'Maw already does % base health. And then with this, if they don't have a lot of armor or have an okay amount, it'll allow you to go right into IE already, since you're already doing so much health base and some magic damage. It's just like, it makes this a much easier route. If they have a lot of armor, you can always value the Last Whisper over the IE. But I think this might be the best route for Kog'Maw. Otherwise, you can get into, you can just go Adorn's Blade, start like people normally do, and then go into Blade of the Rune King. Like, even if it got nerfed, it's not that big of a nerf. It's still a really good item. And then either Shiv or PD, and then you can go into like Last Whisper or IE. Most people will go Last Whisper in this scenario just because how the timing of the items works. Things like that. You know, like obviously these I didn't include boots, but you know, just get the boots whenever you feel like. I usually get them after I complete my first item. But like I said, if you're going like IE into zeal, it might be better to get the zeal than the boots. So just gotta value that. And one change actually I forgot about, which I'll cover in this Twitch. This is what a Twitch build would probably look like. You're going to open with Adorn's Blade like you normally do, out the pot. Blade, obviously, because it's extremely good since he already gets 80 from his ultimate. Just kind of like Vayne does. And then this is interesting. They removed the limit on range characters, because they had it, the 20% movement speed and attack speed only lasts for 4 seconds on range characters as opposed to 6. So they took that off, so you get 2 more full seconds. And you also get crit cooldown and AD as well as armor pen. And then the active is extremely good for keeping a carry safe. So not really done any number crunching on like other carries, but I know this is already a popular build on Twitch, so it's natural to me to think of it. But in China, they already build this. It's really strong, gives more AD, armor pen, gives you the crit you need. And like the active is just insanely good on Twitch. It's almost like a better, I think it's Executioner's Calling that gives you the 3 crits and like max attack speed or something like that. But this is a better option of that. And the gold is a really nice price. Like it fits in the same range as the what's it called? The other attack speed items for a little bit less crit. That gives you other stats that are very useful. And then, since you already have armor pen and you're doing a lot of damage with your ult, with blade and everything, it's really, really easy to go straight into IE, which just got buffed. So, like, this build path is probably the one I like the most. So I'll probably be playing a lot more Twitch as well as Kog'Maw, because it just seems like everything's shifting towards like hyper carries that are can be as safe as possible and still get lifesteal easily. So that, and then at that point, you can just go with the Last Whisper, because this is going to start being less effective. And then you just move into the Scimitar here as your defensive item. And then it's pretty hard to kill you with all this movement speed. Movement speed from heal, Yo moves, and from the active on this. It's just, I feel like this is buffing Twitch, and this build path on Cog is just, these two are going to be superior builds in my opinion. And then I guess now what I can get into is like champions that are going to be popular with these item changes, the ones that benefit from it the most, because I know a lot of you haven't played Season 2 because there's a lot of new players in League, you know. So Ashe is going to be more viable since what's it called, Crucible's getting nerfed, and you're not going to get a defensive item until like usually last, so your Scimitar won't be there. So Ashe is going to have more power, more dueling potential in lane as well as in team fights now. So that's pretty nice for Ashe. She needed that little bit 'cause she has not played at all. Caitlyn always used to build IE up until like mid-season 3, I think. It's right about that time. So she's going to synergize really well with the buffs to IE. You're going to be seeing her probably almost every game. Changes They didn't really affect Corki that much because, like I said, you can just do the Trinity Force into IE and be fine with the double Dorans. And actually prefer rushing Trinity Force on Corki because he has so much base damage in this kit early that it's really nice to do this. And who knows, maybe what's it called? If they do some number tweaking to the Essence Reaver, the one that gives you mana back, that'll be pretty good on him as well. Didn't really affect Ezreal that much. Like I said, blue build Ezreal is going to be much easier to go now. Maybe that'll come back into popularity. See here, Draven is changed by the changes as well because less AD, harder time he's going to have, which is good because I think I'll put him more in line with everyone. Graves kind of, yeah, he gets pooped on by these changes. I think they're going to have to buff his numbers again if they want him played from now on. Because I don't see what the Bloodthirst changes. Jinx is kind of up for debate because how fast she attacks can actually make value of that the Bloodthirster shield early because she'll just if you take a favorable trade where you're at fuller health, it's going to be much harder for them to break your shield than they anticipate. So that might work. And also, IE is pretty strong on her since her rocket form Q can crit. So, you know, early game team fights when people don't have that much, like if you have an IE in there and you rocket form and it crits everyone, they're gonna know. And so that might be pretty good. Cog, well, I think you're gonna see a lot more Cog just because I believe the meta is gonna shift more toward the keep you safe supports, and they're going to get the ardent thing and buff you to Jesus levels. So I think that's going to be that. Lucian's dueling potential, I believe, is going to get nerfed for this. There's a couple different build routes you can go. You can rush IE, double Doran's IE into Trinity Force like people do now. You could probably do IE into Shiv so you get a little bit more pop. If you want to do double Doran's Trinity Force into Blade, which was, well, besides the double Dorans, it was popular in Korea, and it's actually, when I started playing Lucian, I started doing that build, and it's a really strong build since he already has so much damage in this kit. So I think his dueling potential early got nerfed a little bit, but his late game will still be really good, especially with the late game Bloodthirst with that large shield on him, being able to double shot like that and keep it up more often than the other person is going to make him a lot stronger late game duelist, but nerf his early game a little. His changes actually are pretty good for Misfortune because the Bloodthirster's shield, since she's extremely immobile and her double shot can heal her up quickly because your Q can both the bounces heal you, so that might be it's a buff, I believe, for her. Even though it's less damage, it's safer, more reliable damage over time. These changes for Quinn, I don't even know. Like, I don't play Quinn. I don't know anybody who plays Quinn except for I'm a cutie pie, but he's a funny masochist. So we won't get into that. His changes really affected Sivir because she really relied on that early game scaling to make up for her mid and late game being pretty abysmal besides her ultimate buffing her team. So, I don't know, you're probably not going to see Sivir that much either, especially since Caitlyn's becoming more popular, would become more popular with these changes. Teemo's not a marksman as much as he wants to be. He seems to stick his Yordle dick into his... Oh, Teemo. I cry every time. But, Triss, she's been receiving some buffs, actually, on here as well. So I think you're going to see her more. Especially with the IE buffs and the attack speed buffs. It's really going to help her mid-game. So I think you're definitely going to see her more. They're really trying to buff her into play in patch 4.10. I think it'll work. The only issue is like she doesn't do well versus the other things it's buffing. Like she doesn't do well versus Caitlyn or Corki or Jinx really, or Cog or Lucian. So it's like yeah, they're trying to buff her, but they also inadvertently buffed other champions that she's not very good against. But I think Twitch is going to be god tier. I just don't see any way around him not being god tier. Urgot might actually benefit from the Essence Reaver a decent amount, because the way his kit works, like, he uses a bunch of mana, like a lot of mana, and can never really build damage items and still be effective with the way his kit works. So I think that'll help him. Can't really think of a build right now. I haven't really thought about one, but it's a buff for him, whether a big or small one. But yeah. Varus, this is a nerf to him, obviously, because he builds like 3 Bloodthirsters and one-shots your team with an arrow, but like, I mean, you can still build the IE on him, it'll be fine, but it's just, I just don't feel like it's a buff at all. Vayne actually got buffed from this. She's going to do more consistent damage in a fight. With the early attack speed being buffed on the boots and the zeal being cheaper, Vayne will probably come into play depending on how well she can duel versus the champions that are going to be more popular. I mean, as long as it's not versus Caitlyn, I think Vayne could out-duel pretty much anyone she wants with the way all the buy patterns are going to work out now. So, yeah, as a quick rundown, I'd say, like, the top tier are going to be Twitch, Kog'Maw, and maybe Caitlyn. And then the second tier is probably going to be like Corki, Ezreal, Jinx, Lucian, maybe Trist, and Vayne. And then everything else, like, you really don't want to play anything outside the 2 top tiers. Like, you're just going to have a bad time. And I think that's it for now. Took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but, you know, I did a pretty thorough job covering everything. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below. I'll make sure I'll get to it, because I'm here all day. And stream link will be in the description as well. I stream every day now. Well, as soon as my internet gets fixed, I'll be back to it. And yeah, this is Bully, signing out. See you guys.